If people want to scramble in, that's fine. They can always make room. I see there's another space in the simply couch. We've got two people to speak this evening. One is Katya, but I think most people know Katya Wilson, our consultant. The other one you may not know as well, who's Veronica Page, and she is a resident and owner and works at the West End Seniors Network and does basically housing for, I'm sure there's a lot more that you do there, but a fairly large part of her job is actually sorting out housing. So we've got the agenda. I think everyone's seen that. I do apologize for the late notice. That is on me. That was my fault. And there's lots, yeah, it's true. A lot of it is. And I've got lots of excuses, mostly involving technology, going to wine. Technology and wine drinking. Yeah. It was a trip to the open. Anyway, so just hand it over to Katya. Thank you all for coming.
Okay.
Do we want to do a quick round of who's here? Just for
that would be great.
Just
quickly.
Mike Lowe, 325.
Myself and Julie Funny, 305. 318.
The names?
I'm sorry.
This comes with no name.
Number 318.
Mountain Brook, 424.
Betty Muncie, 214.
Chris at 206. And Mark at 422.
Victoria, 405. Victoria at 410.
Brian, 503.
Van Glen, 324.
Lisa Bailey, 222.
Nancy, 220.
Hilda, 221.
Okay.
Pat, 409.
Veronica, 306.
Lee, 316.
Marlene and John, 312.
Cecilia, 412 or 4.
Cecilia, 412. Michael, 113.
It's been a long day. It's only Tuesday. Okay, so first of all, this session is intended to be quite informal, and I have some stuff to say, and then Veronica has some stuff to say, and we have some handouts, but it's really kind of just about providing some information for you. And if you have questions that we can help answer or that we can take away and provide answers for to the best of our ability, that's kind of what tonight's about. Okay. So interestingly, I do a lot of work, maybe you won't be interested, with clients that are trying to buy things. And that includes, buildings, big commercial buildings and software and all kinds of things that big organizations buy. And when they do that, the people that are involved in selecting, we call it the selection process, when they're involved in that as a group, they have to come to some agreement on what we call requirements. And these basically are the aspects of the thing that they're trying to buy that will make a difference for them, whether they buy thing A or thing B. It's a pretty simple philosophy. And the old school way of doing it was writing down a million things and giving everything a point of 1 and then just adding things up, and that made for a lot of confusion. And the method that we've used for more than 10 years is one of differentiation. And so we talk about the 8 or 9 key differentiators that will make a difference in something that you buy. So if you think about it, if you go out to buy a vehicle, you probably have some very basic things. So, if you're talking about a regular kind of a vehicle, and it can be, there's all kinds of facets that we can talk about, but, 4 wheels and doors and it goes places, right? And then there's all kinds of subcategories, like, do you need a van for your family, or you want a sports car, or, electric? There's all different kinds of facets. And so you wouldn't therefore put into that solution matrix of what you're trying to choose from a speedboat, because that is not the vehicle. Like, you're looking for a vehicle that goes on the city streets or farm streets or whatever. You're looking for something that runs on land, not a speedboat. So similarly, when you're looking for a new home or buying anything, we all buy things all the time, cars, clothes, food, whatever. we actually only make our decisions based on a few criteria, usually less than 9. And so it's important to kind of think about and get organized in your own heads. What are those things that are important to you about, in this case, where you live? So things like location. This group all lives in the West End currently. You want to stay in the West End? Are there other parts of the Lower Mainland or BC or Canada or somewhere else in the world that you want to live? How big a place do you want to be in? What type of housing are you interested in? Do you want to purchase something? Single family home, duplex, townhouse? Do you want to rent something? Or maybe you're looking more for a community kind of style of living. And there's lots of different options in that regard. So when I talked this over with Veronica, I said, one of the things that I would do, and which I've done, is I put together based on what I could think of and some really good work from some girls that do this for a living, that help people move for a living, a list of different kinds of factors, which includes, things like the location. We talked about the type of unit, features of the unit, outdoor space, appliances, amenities, services, and things like that. So I've got a handout that's a few pages long, which I will pass around. And if we don't have enough of these, I can certainly send Mark some more, so maybe just take one and pass them around. So I came up with this idea when I was talking to Veronica. I was thinking back to a friend of mine who had lived in the same home for about 30 years and sold it when her children grew up and left home, basically. And she'd never lived in an apartment by herself. She'd never rented a place. And she was really flabbergasted. Eva was said to me, I don't have a clue. I don't know what to do. And I said, well, will your children come and stay with you? Do you need an extra bedroom or space in the living room for them to stay? And how, do you want to garden a little? Do you want a little patio or a balcony? And I started asking her these questions, and she just looked at me and thought, oh my gosh, there's so many questions and I don't even know the answer. How many closets? What are you moving from home? What kind of style of a building do you want to live in? And so there's all these kinds of factors, and I think it's really helpful if you spend some time thinking about that, what your needs are, what you want, and then very useful to try to put some kind of ranking to those, to understand what the trade-offs are that you're willing to make and those that you're not willing to make. For some people, that would be me, by the way, a little outdoor space of some kind is really a deal breaker. I've got to have that. I have a big outdoor space now, really big, for an apartment, but I really think that, for me, it just have to have some way to just go outside and have a couple of plants, but just to be outside in the air and not, behind a window. So that for me would be a deal breaker. And I might like a lot of other things about a place I look at. I might think the kitchen's been renovated and has all these great new appliances, but if there's no outdoor space, I'm probably not going there. So I know I can just really get at it. So do people have questions? Comments? Do you want to come in?
That's okay.
It's a lack of commitment.
There's a wobbly chair in the corner.
That's an in-house one.
So there's many things, and the reason that Veronica and I were presenting today was because she knows a lot about the West End market. And what I did last year for a group, strata group, by the way, it's still not done, and it's not Hampstead, was to have a group that helps people called Next Steps. It's a little group that organization that you can hire to help you downsize and move. And they came and talked a little bit about the different types of housing that are available. And I don't know if you have questions about those sorts of things. So I have one more of these. Do you need another one? You want a couple more? Sure. Try not to step on people. Run past. So you all live in strata now in condos, and there's many other types of housing options, right? So besides just out and out market rent, there's subsidized rentals, and there's co-ops, Some of those are subsidized, some of them are not subsidized. It depends on whether the co-op is run primarily in Vancouver by the city or not. But I have friends that have bought into co-ops that are not, they're just regular, it's just a different form of ownership than a condo. Yeah.
I have a question. I've heard you use the term downsize a couple of times, just tonight and previously, and I'm wondering how it would apply in this kind of situation. I mean, people downsize from houses to apartments like what we've got now. What do we downsize to from something that's already minimal?
Like me, for example, that's what I want to do. Like I'm in a 1-bedroom.
What are you downsizing to?
Well, because I find I don't use my living room at all anymore because I'm not as mobile as I used to be. So I really want to just move into a studio.
Okay.
And so for me, I want to downsize.
And I recently went, so I'm approaching 60, and I went from a townhouse, 3-bedroom, 3 levels, kid in school, husband, all that, down to a smaller kind of version of those that didn't have had a deck and no patio garden, and then into now a 2-bedroom apartment with a big patio garden. And I have way too much indoor space. I haven't moved simply because I like my garden, but I would like to live all on 1 level, and I have stairs. And I've had 6 knee surgeries, and I need 1 level.
Because in our situation, I don't see getting into anything smaller than what we have.
And you might not be there in terms of size, but the other part about when I use the word downsize too is that I'm not thinking about ditching stuff that we've collected for years. You know,
And we recently did that because we've actually only moved in.
We need
like,
the
2 years
space
ago.
that we need, is
But-
my point. And,
And we also looked.
yeah.
And we also looked for like 2.5, close to 3 years, because we live literally a block away from here.
Oh, interesting.
So we actually looked for like 2 years plus at everything that was available in the West End in order to find a place that, we thought would be suitable for what we wanted to do, like a suitable upgrade,
Mhm.
without being like too much. And this place finally, we finally found it, and it took like forever. So just throwing that out there,
I think it takes people forever. I personally hate moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody
Seriously.
ever really want to do that? No. No, what a pain. What a pain. I last moved almost 5 years ago. And so prior to that, I had moved a year before that and a year before that. But I had 2 10-year periods where I didn't moved twice in 20 years. I mean, nobody wants to do that. But when we're thinking about it, and we're thinking about where we are in our lives, what the things are that are really valuable to us, do we want to be near our family? Maybe our family is in Vancouver, maybe our family is not. I have a friend that's baffled by retirement because her sister lives in Kelowna. And she's never lived in Kelowna, but that's her only sister, that's her only sibling. And she's always lived in Kitsilano. But she's totally baffled. And she's been back and forth to Kelowna and Kit. She does totally baffled. She doesn't know what to do. And, there are options, but she's kind of working her way through it, trying to figure out, maybe I should just have a little studio in Vancouver and buy a bigger in Kelowna, or maybe vice versa. Where's going to be my primary home? My sister still has children in high school.
I think like though, moving's different if you want to move, if it's your choice to move somewhere. But like for us, it's not a choice. It's like you have to move out essentially. I mean that's basically.
Well, the process though is,
come down.
as you've probably figured out, since you've seen me for a while, it's a really long, slow process.
Yeah.
And as most of you know, and Mark and I talked about this the other day, even when owners groups vote to accept an offer, that process is supposed to be only a couple of months until the deal's done, and then maybe 6 months to move out. So maybe another 8 months, and we have a client that is 6 months waiting just for the court date. So it can take a really long time. Big advantage of doing a kind of a deal this is a little bit different than I've given notice and I have to move in 30 days, or I've sold my place and my closing date is such and such. This is you'll have a longer lead time, presumably. And I know what you have described, it took you a long time, but it's not the same as, saying, oh, I'm going to give notice on my place and find a new one.
And will only vote yes if there's more money to work with.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah.
You're not gonna
otherwise
agree.
You're saying more and you get less. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're not gonna agree.
That's
We
not
really
the
talk
deal.
about that. You don't have to downsize.
No.
Buy something the same as what you got, or bigger if you want.
Bigger.
You
Well,
don't
and
have
that's,
to downsize.
Exactly.
In a different neighborhood, you would mean then.
Well,
And some people are thinking.
if things go according to plan,
It all depends on
it
the
does sell.
situation.
You're gonna walk away with 200,000 more than what your place is worth. You can afford to buy something else.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah, but it's
neighborhood.
irrelevant if there's nothing
If
else
there's
available.
nothing in the West
That's
End.
interesting.
Then you've
Go
got
down
So
to
that's
the
the
mall
next
and
point.
look at the places for sale, and that's just one little place.
there's all kinds of really interesting,
3 years later.
there's all kinds of interesting options. And I have friends that retired, sold their house, bought a studio in downtown. Well, actually a 1-bedroom in downtown. And they recently sold that because they bought a floating home at Mosquito Creek on the North Shore. So I don't know if you've seen them, but they're two
I hate
stories.
everything about the name.
Mosquitoes.
It's funny. It's a horrible name, but it's beautiful.
No, I have no idea the source of that name either. But they have a place on one of the Gulf Islands. So this is their city, and it's a sea. It's like literally 5-minute walk to Seabus over. And so that they decided after 2 or 3 years of this little place downtown that wasn't suitable. They didn't like it. They wanted some outdoor space. In all honesty, because they have this garden on their island, tiny home, big garden. So,
Do you want to move on to?
So do you want to move forward?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Are you ready?
Sure.
Speaking of options, that's
I'm just thinking too, there's a lot of new places that are gonna be opening up over the next year or two as well, right? Because they're building a lot of new places. Yeah, exactly.
I missed Safeway already.
Yeah, pretty much Davy Street's going to be all new.
So for those of you who don't know why I'm involved here at all, I work at West End Seniors Network, Kay's Place location in Denver Mall. I'm the assistant manager there, and one of the programs that we run is housing support. So most of the people, not all, but most of the people we're dealing with are going to be seniors with low income. So they're really struggling to find a place. We're actually in an amazing position compared to them. Number one, this is not because we're selling. I have no idea if we're selling. This is about knowing what kind of options are there if we ever did sell. So, or even if the vote was not to sell, people may still be in a position where they can't stay because the will have to be repairs done. So not everyone will be able to stay. So this is going to help them too, if they sell individually after, or whatever happens. I don't think this is a bad thing to have and know. So because I know a little bit more about housing and have been on like advisories with in housing. So basically I looked at, this was great actually, when I was doing some research on this, because I was looking at it from a different perspective than I normally do. And this is, if you were renting, and when I say renting, if you wanted to buy into a new build, you might still have to rent for a couple of years. So I think renting could be, and when you talk about it, maybe it's a new build you're interested in. And so if you do, there is that space in between, right? Who knows? But so there's all kinds of like, Katya already alluded, market rental, co-op, non-profit, and for those that maybe need help, assisted living places. So in the market rental, okay, in my research, 1 bedrooms basically rent between 14 and 19 per month. 2 bedrooms between 18 and up to 3,000. In fact, the 2 towers on Pendrell on 1600 Pendrell. They're almost, well, I think they're 99% one bedrooms. There's only one floor besides the penthouse that are 2 bedrooms. And they all rent around the 1400 mark. And they have a pool. And they're very well maintained. So it's just an idea, right? They take pets, by the way. Who was it wants to know about
A
pets?
6-year waiting list.
Right. No, I don't think it's a 6-year waiting list.
I don't know for sure. But I
No.
know there's a waiting
Try
list.
having a 72 numbers.
Well, I know you're allowed to have pets. Maybe the dog was an issue. Maybe it was a barker.
I don't know. I'm just saying, I know that there was a
Yeah.
dog eviction.
I know that they're allowed pets, so yeah.
There was a time.
But a lot of them are like up to 25 pounds.
Well, this was a
You
big
see
dog.
me, you're walking up the menu, yeah.
So the other thing is, these are like to rent to go into a co-op. And I have 4 here, and this is a handout that'll go around. I have 4 here that are in the West End. I mean, there's lots of co-ops in other places in Vancouver, but these ones are in the West End. So I put the name and the website, and with co-ops, you have to apply and fill in a massive, and give references and all of that stuff. But if you can get into a co-op, it's fabulous. And like Katya talked about, there are also co-ops to buy into. And that is something with a realtor you would have to look around for. There's non-profit. Now for non-profit, lots of them are looking at your income. So, but just say, okay, here's a scenario. Just say you sold and you got your money and you put it in to invest. Your income is based on your tax assessment. So if it's not on your tax assessment for that year, or you may choose to sell, rent, take some of the money and invest in an investment property. I don't know. There's lots of scenarios you could do if you do sell. But there is one exception to the nonprofit, which is a very interesting one. I think I've got all the details, but it's not on here. Does anyone know about the Performing Arts Lodge, PAL building? So the PAL building, like normally you have to come from the Performing Arts Lodge background. I mean, you could have worked as a lighting technician in radio or something. That's okay. So you can get in there and it's like $14.50 a month, but they offer so much. It's a fabulous place. But they have this other thing, which I'd love to share. There's approximately, I think it's from the 6th floor up, there's approximately 20 suites. They are 2-bedroom. They have huge balconies. They have beautiful views, ocean, city, the works. And here's the deal. You have to put down $300,000, which goes into escrow. So when you leave, you get the $300,000 back, and you pay probably $400 to $500 a month fees, right? So you're not making money on that $300,000, not at all. But if you just want to stay there and rent at $500 a month for years and years, and you're going to maybe give that $300,000 to someone, a family member or whatever, it's not a bad option.
I thought you said 4,500
For
a month.
for 1 year.
And I think now that you said 4 to 500.
400 to 500, sorry. It's the accent, it's the accent.
Where is this?
PAL Building's on Cadero. It's past,
Yeah.
Bayshore Hotel.
yeah, Bayshore,
Oh,
that's right. It's just over past Georgia. One over, so it's,
Just
The theater is in the building.
yeah, they have a theater in the building.
That makes sense.
So I was gonna mention, friends of ours have moved into a building like that, not in the West End, but there are other buildings like that. It's a Legion building. And it's wonderful. It's the same idea. They have a fabulous suite, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathroom, and it's the same deal. They put down a set amount of money. They pay strata essentially every month, and it's awesome.
The downside is that it's in Maple Ridge.
Well, that particular one is.
That one is.
I'm just saying there are other ones. Yeah,
So
there are
the
other
PAL
ones.
the PAL people are actually looking for more sites. I was speaking with Doug Cameron the other day, and they would be very happy to partner with this process. So there's
Yeah, and then, it's just, what I'm saying is, sometimes you have to be a bit more creative and think outside the box and not just go,
Sorry, is that
oh,
open to any age or is that a certain age?
no, it's open. And for these ones, for the 2 bedroom with the 300,000, you do not have to have a background in the performing arts. You do for the 1450 a month, but not for the, if you're putting the money down, no.
Whoa, cool.
And what kind of size are these places like?
They're over 1,000 square
Really?
feet.
Yeah, nice.
So it's definitely, I mean, the drawback for most, for people who don't do it is you're not making any interest.
Yeah, sure.
Because the interest that's made goes towards the running of the building, because it's a non-profit.
But then you pay nothing for the rent too.
That's right. So you could, and I mean, probably you're going to get more than 300,000 if it's sold. So you may still invest in another building as an investment in a new build and have someone rent and pay your mortgage on that. I don't know. I don't know. Or a recreation property, or there's many options. And I think what it's about is just think about different options. Don't sort of say, if we sell, that we have to just find something with our money and that's it. There's lots of options, and this is all West End. I'm only talking West End here. So one of the, on here, I don't have all that information on there, but I can give that tomorrow. But there is, I did put the email, the website for PAL on the handout. So one of the other things that I would say, if you ever were looking to rent, I do say if, because nothing's in set. So if you're ever, I think being prepared if you're looking to rent in the West End is, there's, I don't know if anyone knows about Tenants Resource and Advisory Center. It's an online, okay, full disclosure, I'm on the board, so so I have to throw it out there. But what they have is an amazing free online course called Renting It Right. So what it does, it tells you how to get into rental, what the expectations are, what your rights are, because they do a lot with Residential Tenancy Act and the Residential Tenancy Branch. So it's one of those things, if you're ever renting, you really want to check their website, because they have everything. If you have a complaint, they have template letters and everything. So this is free, doesn't hurt just to do it. And what it gives you is a certificate at the end. And does anyone know who Landlords BC is? So Landlords BC is an umbrella organization for all of the property developers who have rentals. They all belong to Landlords BC. So all the Hollyburns and Westbanks and all those, they're members of Landlord BC. So one of the things about the certificate is there's always lineups, if it's a good rent, there's going to be quite a few people after an apartment. That's reality. So one of the things is, if you've taken this and you have a certificate, Landlord BC has informed everyone that they accept this as a reference and that they promote if someone comes looking to rent if they've got this. It goes a long way because they know that you understand what your responsibilities are, what theirs are, all of that sort of stuff. It's just something out there, whether you are a landlord or become a landlord or rents or temporary rents while you're waiting for a new build. I mean, these are just the sort of things out there that you can prepare for, that you can think about as different options. So this is by no means mean anyone selling. It just means in life, and also, even if the building didn't sell, we all know that things can hit you from left field where you absolutely have to move. Friend of my son, who he lives with in England, in London, never moving from London, suddenly 2 weeks ago, his father was diagnosed with cancer, really bad. And he just upped stakes and left and moved back. Because we don't know in life what can happen. We really don't. So I just don't think anyone's trying to promote, we're selling. I have to say I'm neutral. It would have to be a good offer, right? It would have to be very, very tempting. But I would like to know myself, all my options and preparations and everything else.
I agree.
So just knowing, and if anyone ever wants to ask me anything, I am in Hayes Place in the Demo Mall. I have a feeling everyone knows No Frills. So, yeah, I'm in the corner office, and I'm there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If you think of something, or you just want to ask me a question privately, pop in anytime. Thank you. Well, handouts, but you know what? I honestly didn't think that many people would turn up. Sorry. I only got about.
We don't even have pizza tonight.
No pizza. So I think I may have done 30. Do we have?
We can share one.
Can you maybe start passing them around this way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can post it somewhere. So, Mark, is everything is this going on the website? Is the question? Yes, it's going on the website.
As will the video.
Oh, right, there's a video.
Oh, yes, yeah, but it's from up there.
See, that's really good because a friend of mine actually is in the same situation. She bought that was supposed to be done in November. She's waiting in downtown. And she just found out it's not going to be done till April. So having the stuff.
Oh, great. Sorry. There you go. And actually, I've had a few people come in that they're building cells. And this is why this was important, because the people that came in, they're building cells, and they said, oh, got my money, I'm there for another 3 months. How do I find a place? What do I do? And it's like, you weren't prepared before? I don't say that. But I mean, they're not prepared. And this is why, when we talked about this, just being prepared in the event is so important. Just think about it, that's all.
But like, it's not going to be overnight.
No.
But it's nice to know your resources.
This person wasn't overnight either. But I mean, I'm a procrastinator, so this is helpful for me.
Yeah.
Katya, I recently got together with some old friends and went through exactly what we're going through. They sold their building in the West End, and I could maybe share their process of finding a new place. Might be helpful. Okay, so these friends of mine, they were in a building on Barclay between Thurlow and Burrard, kind of 2 buildings from the YMCA building. They were lucky. They owned a 2-bedroom, they owned a 1-bedroom in the building. Very lucky. They got double assessed. This is about 2 years ago. And they wanted to stay in the West End. And they had several free months for it. I can't remember what they said it was. So same situation. There are places you can buy, but is it a place you like to buy? And they looked, and every time they found a place they liked, they put an offer in. And then they were outbid over and over and over. So after several months of this, and they were going way over asking. So after several months, they had a good chunk of cash because they sold 2 places for double assessed. So they said, well, let's expand. We can afford a house in East Van. So what happened then is the same thing. Every time they go in, they were outbid, and eventually they got a place. It took several months. They got a place. There were 5 offers over asking. They were the second highest offer. The only reason they got it is because they had no conditions on the sale. It was a house built in 1945, no conditions, and yeah, they paid $150,000 over asking to get it. Here's a kicker: the location is it's right on First Avenue near Redford. So I would ask anybody here who wants to live right on First Avenue.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like living on a freeway. But they kind of were in a situation where they kind of had no choice. They didn't want to leave the West End. Luckily, they had enough money to buy a house because they had 2 units, but they're happy enough there. But they still would rather be here, right? So. Yeah.
So tell me, Mark, they weren't interested in a new build and just went.
They want. I don't think it was a lot getting built down here. They want to be in the West End. And
maybe it wasn't getting
They really don't like high rises.
They could have bought back in here.
They could have bought back in here too.
And then we go through it again.
They'd be going through it again. But anyway, it just sort of kind of fits in with it's two real world stories, and it's hard out there, right? And that was 2 years ago, and it's much tighter now.
Yeah, and it does take time. One of my brothers sold his place in the West End, and they ended up having to rent over here on Davie Street. Kind of a luxury apartment building, but they absolutely hated it. But they were there for 8 months while they were looking.
Yeah, after being an owner, I had a hard time with forking out $2,500 a month.
Well, it was
making $7,000
it was one of the, I never actually went there, but they were there for 8 months. And they had a dog, big dog.
Okay.
So that was limiting for them. But the other thing that was interesting was that they had a lot of issues in that building. The cops kept coming. They were building shutdowns. They had a lot of it was bad. But anyway, they couldn't find anything either, and it just took them a while. And they bought a new build, and so then so it took a while.
So I think there's going to be a lot of new builds, but it's going to take at least 3 years, right, before there'll be anything available. And this is why.
No.
Well,
pretty much.
I'd say 80%, right? 80% of the new buildings going up around here are rented.
Up in this stretch. Yeah. So there was a question about someone who has multiple dogs.
I know.
And what the situation is in terms of pets and stuff.
Well, each building, like you say, when you check the buildings, and I don't think I put it on here, drafts. There is a great website to look on, and I'm sure there's an app, and it's called Pad Mapper.
Yeah, that's a great app.
It's a great app or online, and it's like young guys put this together. So it actually gathers, it scoops up from everything, from Craigslist, from anywhere where an apartment is up for rent. And it's like a big map. It's all over Vancouver. So you can put in variables to zoom in on your area. Then you get like these little flags on the map. And then you hover or you click on the flag, and it gives you all the information, including the contact. So you can contact and ask more. This is a great app.
And also the site that you mentioned earlier, which I was just using on the weekend to help a friend of mine, by the way, the Tenant Advisory Council site has information on dealing with pets and different kinds of pets in rental situations. They have some very specific information there. I know because that's why I was helping my friend who was through a couple. Stratas sometimes have weird pet rules too. So some allow pets, but then they have I lived in the strata where we could have 1 dog and 1 cat. And I happen to have 2 cats, but they were both gray and white. So I just had 2 cats and everybody thought I had 1 cat. But you know, there were issues when people had 2 dogs. If the dogs barked, they were penalized.
Yeah.
Because they weren't supposed to have 2 dogs.
Wow.
And it was fine. There was other people that actually had 2 dogs. It was just the barking ones that caused a disturbance. And because of that, the people kept getting penalized. They eventually sold because they either had to give up a dog or sell.
Right. So I think everywhere they have, I mean, they all say what the rules are of the pets. So it's just, and if you're buying the same, that's one of the big requirements on with your realtor. I have X amount of animals. I need a place for them.
And also, when you buy new construction, sometimes those strata rules are not yet set.
That's right.
That's right.
So when you get in there, you have to get on the strata council if you have 3 dogs, because otherwise they'll set a 2-dog limit, and you'll have a problem. Because typically it's about usually a year to 18 months after the final move-ins when they finalize sort of the strata rules. And I've had friends get caught, even not even in low mainland, like even in Squamish, where they didn't get on council because they thought, oh well, whatever, and then council made all these rules that they didn't like. So you got to be a little careful with that new construction too.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Well, we know where you are.
Yeah,
we know where you work.
I'm not hiding. I'm not hiding. I might have to, but. Yeah.
Short and sweet, everyone now can go
Eat.
Or one.
I feel you should have provided
Or
your
one.
Haven't started yet.
Good to see everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
You have to think about something sweet.